Welcome back, my fellow nerdians, de- decadent descendants of the nerdiverse. We have returned from nights of pillaging and destroying the nerdiverse planets to bring you a new segment of what we like to call MOTN lore, where we pick an object of lore from the nerdiverse, the countless multiverses, and we break it down and discuss it and rank it amongst the pantheon of objects of lore. This is always a conversation and not a analysis. So we're not going to be perfect on every single little thing. But that being said, I'm of course your tragic hero with the backstory, Mike G. And with me tonight is the pantheon of just greatness here. Let's start introductions with the master of gyromancy himself, Wash. How are you, sir?
Yo, what up? I am well. Happy to be here. Happy to talk a little bit of the hills that are silent.
Quiet
Uh,
mountains.
you know, um, Ready to get into it and do a tad bit of digging into this lore. As such, a city of lore.
A city of lore. If there's ever been a city of lore, it's this city. It's this town. Are you town to talk about this? Are you town?
Yes, I am town. Yes, I am town. But I was since we got the assignment, I've been trying to think of other cities, and whatever you just said made me think of Gotham City. I'm
Yeah,
like, oh,
between this,
yeah, that's it. Like there aren't a lot of cities out there that you're like, oh, you know. Anyway, moving on.
yes, yes. We're about to get into it. This is gonna be a good one. I could already feel it. And with me is the partner in crime, the pyramid head mistress herself, Tootie Odin. What's cracking? Toots, get hype.
Hello, hello. Good evening. How are you guys? I'm ready to
Are
do
you
this
ready to
lore.
are you ready to talk town?
I am so town to ready to talk town. Yeah,
This is
all that for sure.
this is what we harbor here in the nerdiverse. Wackiness will ensue as we talk about probably one of the strangest places in the nerdiverse. And that, of course, is the MOTN lore of Silent Hill. Let's do it like this. Can we do it like this? Is that better? I think that's better for this particular, I would say, triplet episode. Normally, it's just one. It's just me and Brian Man, but Toots was so eager to be a part of this that she wanted to join, and we eagerly obliged because more the
Yay.
merrier when it comes to talking about this town of lore. So let's just jump right in, shall we? Let's go ahead and go through our. Oh, it's blocking my little thing here. Let's see if we can do another way. How about that? That works perfectly. That will do it. So let's go into what is Silent Hill in the most elevator pitch basic idea. Let's start with Brian. Let's start with Wash. What do you think Silent Hill is?
Silent Hill is a multiverse, multiversal world of hell.
I was dead
That's
ass,
what I
dude.
got for you.
Multiversal world of just a
Of hell.
hellscape. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
there you go. It, yeah, it's hell.
Toots. What is
Yo,
your elevator pitch? What is Silent Hill? Because it's going to be different for all of us, I think.
Silent Hill is a town based on a very true story that they took and ran with it into the darkest, deepest pits of hell. That's exactly right then and there. Yeah, the common denominator here is heat, fire, hell. So yeah,
Dead ass. It's
dead
heat,
ass.
fire,
Lots of
dead
dead
ass.
asses, actually.
Yeah. They're asses that
Yeah,
died.
lots of them.
Lots of asses
Yeah.
that died in this series.
Mhm.
Um, I would say Silent Hill is almost like a focal point on the planet that is a siren song for the broken and for the beaten. Silent Hill is I would say, a lighthouse that attracts emotionally destroyed people and run them through a gauntlet to have the either face your fear, face your trauma, or die trying. I think that's what Silent Hill is at its
I
core.
I could definitely get behind the siren song. There is definitely something, a whistle or a bell that you hear, and you're like, "Huh? What's that?" And unfortunately, when you went, "Huh? What's that?" Yeah, everything just kind of shifted on you. So, you know.
You know when you get like jungle fever and you hear the drums in your head and you got jungle fever? It's like the same thing but evil. You know what I'm saying? You hear the tribal drums in your head from across the room and you're like, I don't know what's beckoning me, but yeah, it's the
Yep.
same thing but with depressed people. That's Silent Hill. It's am I alone? Are you guys just gonna leave me hanging there? Am I alone on that?
Well,
You hear the drum?
Silent Hill is not my hot white woman. No. So
But
yeah,
there are hot but
you're
there
alone on that one.
but there are hot white women in Silent Hill.
Yes, there are.
oh,
There
oh,
happen to be
Yeah.
hot white women inside, but we'll talk about them later. God bless them.
uh,
Uh, oh man, that's so dumb.
I definitely
But
don't get jungle fever when I think of Silent Hill. The answer is
you
no.
got you got Silent Hill fever. I got Silent Hill fever. We're gonna die. Important importance to the lore. I can't think of anything more. It's the name of the game, dude. It's the name of the series. Silent Hill is really, even though a lot of it is the characters, a lot of it is the protagonist, the antagonist. What is a other than like the Bates Motel? I can't think of many locations that have such a personality. You know what I mean? This town almost feels like a living, breathing creature in certain senses. What are your thoughts?
I actually agree. It is in its own right a living, breathing thing because, like I said, it is absolutely based off of something that's extremely real. The curiosity, and especially now, and us wanting to explore abandoned places, and catching a lot of it on film, and seeing the paranormal, seeing the supernatural that may or may not exist within or without those universes, actually make it make Silent Hill so intimate with people because we want to do that in real life, and a lot of times we do that in real life, and and our imaginations either run away with us, or we either way, the idea of exploring never will never die. The idea of the curiosity killed the cat is probably always going to be there, which is sort of, I mean, if we're going to the lore of the Silent Hill movies themselves, that's exactly sort of what started the entire series is curiosity. I mean, it started with what's her face, a little girl. Can't remember
Sharon.
her name, but in that there were so many people that were already there, or that ended up there because they were simply just curious, and you ran into those people along the way. The cop, in their own way, their own right. They walk in. There's a hypnotism about that place that people just walk in. I mean, I guess that would be your jungle fever, yeah, or something about it is very drawing, um, and it's
Mhm.
very relatable because, like I said, you see an abandoned building on the side of the hallway or on the side of the roadway, and your first thought is, hey, I wonder what it's like to be inside of there. I wonder what's in there. I wonder what people left behind, etc., etc. I don't think I don't think in that sense I'm alone there. I think there's a lot of us that feel that curiosity of wanting to explore those places.
It's interesting that you say that. Go, Brian. I'm sorry. Go for it.
no, go ahead, Mike,
Oh
please.
no, I was just going to say it's something very Japanese, and I love the Japanese influence in this game. That it's like the secret you kind of want to know about. It reminds me a lot of The Ring, where it's like this tape is cursed. Everybody knows the tape is cursed, but you still kind of want to watch it, right? Oh, that's the Grudge House. You super shouldn't go in there, but we're going in there, and it's like the town draws people in different ways, some for curiosity, some through pain, some through redemption, but it always draws you in. And that's why I was thinking like it is that lighthouse that beckons these people who are either curious, just have, and we'll talk about it more with the characters, but there's some people who visit Silent Hill and it's just an empty town. There's nothing for the town to feed off of, you know?
And this is where, you talk about the importance to the lore, and yes, the name of the game in the movie is Silent Hill, and it got me thinking: could Silent Hill be anywhere else? Could Silent Hill, and based off the real life part of it, I just want to say real quick, I did try to go to Google Maps and walk through the city in VR. A Google car
Ooh,
has not been through the town. So you can't go into the town that
so
it's
sick.
based off of in
Wow.
Pennsylvania, which
That's so sick.
I was like, dude, what type of cruel joke is this? You can literally walk on the outskirts and it's
It's
just like
mad. It's like
fields
Chernobyl,
and
dude. You
it's
can't just
fields
go.
and
Yeah, you have to
there's
sneak
one
in.
strange little family in one of the photos on like the side of the road that has literally like a manger set up, and it's really weird. And you're like, I really kind of want to go in, but you can't. But could that be anywhere else? And I think that, and I know we're going to get into this a little bit with our next point, but the makeup of this city, like the burning, the fog, the hellscape that the city is in reality, the fire, it almost breeded the good perfect circumstances for hell on earth. You know what I mean? So could Silent Hill been, Park Place, Georgia? I don't know. You know what I mean? I don't know if Ghostbusters, if every fridge has a ghoul, a Zool in it.
A
So,
Zool in it, dog.
thank you.
Very cool. And that's a very good segue to our next talking point, which is origins of the town. And to your point, Brian, yes and no, right? Like, can there be a Silent Hill anywhere? And that was going to be the kind of the question that Silent Hills was going to ask with Guillermo del Toro and Hideo Kojima when they were going to make Silent Hill. It was called Silent Hills. It was going to talk about particularly different locations with the same type of phenomena. Um, but with the origins
Oh,
of this, yeah. So it's like it can, and there are games coming out. Silent Hill F takes place in Japan, like in the 1940s. So it's like I think it's special places. Like the town of Silent Hill was like based off of like Indian burial ground. Never mess with Indian burial ground. That's just a horror rule, and it's just a place where these three, like you said, multiversal planes just happen to overlap. You know what I mean? And through pain and interference in the accident, it just makes this perfect storm of just torment, you know?
and I know early on in research, I had texted you and I was like, is there a cohesive storyline that follows Silent Hill? And you're like,
No,
no, man, there really isn't.
no.
And so through 20 something hours of Silent Hill different properties, the one thing I kept falling back to is, the only thing that is consistent about the origins of the town is that the town is here, and
Mhm.
people who are not necessarily here get called back to it, like we see in Silent Hill 3 or in the movie, the very first movie, where it's like, don't go to Silent Hill. And it's like, yeah, of course I'm going to Silent Hill. Like,
You should have told me not to, stupid.
what? like,
You should have told me not
like,
to, stupid. No, I'm going.
blood
Gassing up the car.
literally written on the wall. Don't go to Silent Hill. Well, I
No, we're
have to go
going.
to Silent Hill, and then the cool music starts kicking
Yeah,
in, and you're like,
man. Akira
what?
Torioka starts bumping, Doug. Man, we having a good
What
time
type of choice was this? So,
until you hear that
yes.
foghorn, bro. But what are your thoughts on the origins of this town, Toots?
Um, well, as far as the origins of the town of Silent Hill, or the origins of the town of the actual real life United States town that's burning currently.
So what is it called? Centralia, if I remember correctly.
It's
Is it
called
Cent-
it's called Centralia. It started off as a an underground mine fire that was containable for a few years, and was uncontainable. And by the time it was uncontainable, it was already too late. There was like, by the time they figured it out, there was nothing that they were going to be able to do about it. So in real life, it's been burning for the last 60 years. It's going to burn for another 250. Now, I found several similarities between Centralia and Silent Hill as far as the spookiness is concerned. So there was actually a in 19 was it 81, I think, 1981. So there were still people living in the town, and they were actually divided as to whether they were going to stay and whether they were going to go. Now, I kind of equate that to the order of the people that were going to stay there no matter what when it comes to the movies, when it comes to the occult situation that's going on there. There was definitely in real life a staunch number of people that were not going to leave no matter what. A lot of those people and their family members and their children ended up dying of carbon dioxide because the
Mhm.
poison was just seeping out of the ground, and they were just being absolutely stubborn about it, to the point where they almost had this ongoing joke of if you live in Silent Hill and you fall asleep, you may not wake up. Like
Yeah.
there's no guarantee that you'll wake up. So it's kind of eerie that they understood that was going to be what the lifestyle that they were going to live in the upcoming months or years, and they chose to do it anyway. Um, there was another story of a little boy, maybe 13, 14 years old, who ended up falling into a sinkhole where all this carbon dioxide started coming out of the sinkhole. And he caught himself on a branch or a root or something where he didn't actually fall all the way in, but because of the heat coming off, I guess, so it must have been like over 200 degrees Fahrenheit, no matter 300 degrees Fahrenheit. I can't remember exactly what they said, but it was scalding his skin. Like the steam was scalding his skin, which again, I don't know if you guys remember the scene in Silent Hill where they're lowering her into with a ladder, onto the fire slowly, and it's not the fire that's burning her; it's the heat.
It's a steam. Yeah.
So it's just
Ooh.
kind of weird that I feel like they dug a hole and researching Centralia and actually really putting a lot of that into the movies and a lot of that into the video games. Now, that being said, I think to Brian's point of Silent Hill can be anywhere. There's a darkness that surrounds these movies, that surrounds these games, that surrounds this idea of absolute dread. Whether you like it or not, it's there, and it only picks and chooses who can see it and who cannot, and that you have to survive. And I just find it really eerie and really relatable in that, like, they were able to take these actual real life history things and turn them literally upside down, the way the Silent Hill world is upside down, and turn them into this very evil, very ugly thing, into these magnificent movie scenes that are unforgettable. On top of the darkness of the game and the murders and the mysteries and having to figure out exactly what's going on, no matter where it is, whether it's in Centralia or whether it is in Silent Hill, somebody's there to figure out what's going on, because not all things are answered in either one. So
Yeah.
I just thought it was really cool, the
That's a very good
similarities
point,
there.
Boots. Not all things are answered, right? When it comes, there is no clean cut. This is what Silent Hill is, because it's almost its own it's an unreliable narrator, the town, because the way I've understand it is that what Silent Hill is splinters off in two directions. Um, and pretty much there's kind of like two different Silent Hills. There is the Silent Hill that we're talking about with the burning town, the rusted, look, the fire, the brimstone. That's the Silent Hill of like Silent Hill 1 and Silent Hill, I believe Homecoming and Silent Hill um Downpour, where it's mostly about the order and about this evil cult. We'll talk about them in a second. And it's the town is really a physical manifestation of the pain that Alessa Gillespie felt when she was sacrificed to their god. She was burned alive. This child was burned alive to be then, mind you, this is going to get crazy, to be then impregnated by their heathen god. That was the whole cult's plan. So, but between the town and the abilities of Alessa, she kind of manifested her anger and pain throughout the town and created this version of Silent Hill, of the third layer of the multiverse. Because Silent Hill pretty much manifests itself in three different forms. There's the everyday, normal life form that people just can, if you don't have any issues, you'll just walk through and it'll be another town. It's like, gross and kind of smoky, but it'll be another town. There's the mist version of it, where it's more like a transit kind of purgatory, kind of where those who are tortured by Silent Hill can hang out together. You know what I mean? And be like, okay, this is what's going on. Very akin to Silent Hill 2. But then they call the other, which is hell, as Brian would say, the manifestation of pain. And that can, in between Silent Hill 1 and Silent Hill 2, that could be different per the observer. So like James Sutherland's Silent Hill is different than Alessa's Silent Hill. It's different than the other character's Silent Hill. And we're going to talk about that when we talk about more about the characters. But I think that it's really the perfect storm of the sacrifice that went wrong, that this town just being at the right spot of Earth that's just screwed over, and the magic and the mystery of it, because it can either be all in your head or it could be for real. And it really depends on what Silent Hill wants you to think, because it's very real to the people going through the game. You know what I mean? But to anybody else, it's just a town. Very interesting stuff. So I wanted to take a second to talk about, because I wouldn't necessarily call Silent Hill the antagonist. It's almost like a force of nature. You know what I mean? It's really It's really mess around and find out. If you go to Silent Hill, you play stupid games, you're going to win stupid prizes. And Silent Hill is going to run you through it. But these guys are the true, I would say, if anyone, antagonist of the series. You look like you're about to say something, Brian.
Well, there's just many thoughts about what you're saying, and they all kind of wrap up with the lore power ranking. So I'm trying to just parse everything out so that it's not
It's a lot,
repeated.
dude.
But
It's a
uh,
lot.
the look, we talk about galactic level threats, world level threats, street level threats, things of this nature. Alessa has turned out to be a galactic level threat.
Yeah,
She
unchecked.
literally went through so much pain and torture. She splintered off a side of herself, which
Sharon.
essentially brings random people to town that have somehow touched this town, and then they kind of get trapped into the gates of hell. And this hell is like, dude, this is hell, man. Like we were talking, asses walking backwards. You know what I mean? Like it's hell. So, you know, the power of Alessa has a lot to do with the creation and what happens in this town as we look at the order and them being one side of it. Yes, perhaps the street level thug side, but there is one menace that is responsible for all of this, and she's fairly okay with it from what
It's
I've gathered.
Yeah, it's a very much kind of Samara. The Once again, the ring, where this little girl has been through unimaginable pain and suffering, that she has tapped into a cosmic force that we really don't understand. And the order, being jackasses, we're like, we're going to use this child to bring forth our turbo god. And it's like, and that's where you have to, and she was so powerful that she's, like you said, she split herself into Cheryl, that then became Heather in Silent Hill 3. But I think their involvement is woven into the later games so much that they're just assholes. They're just in the way of a lesser kind of wrecking shop and creating this beacon of horror that some people just kind of fall ass backwards into and have to deal with it.
Yes, and throughout the course, I really found their influence on the town to be more just an inhabitant of this town. They don't have any control over the town, and it was kind of brought the truth in Silent Hill 2, the movie or
Yeah,
part 1.
Revelations or something like
Yeah,
that.
the one where they're at the church and they're like, "Come on, get in the church," and it's like, you know, they're just running for their lives too because they heard the damn air siren. They're like, "Oh, it's
Yep,
time
time
to
to go.
go in." You know what I mean? So they're just stuck here as well as Toot said. They've chosen to stay here essentially and been like, "Yeah, we're not leaving." So anyway.
What are your thoughts on the order, Toots?
So okay. That being said, is the order the reason why Silent Hill has these other entities like Pyramid Head guy, the nurses that have been inverted into these evil beings? Like, is having them there, making the sacrifices, doing all the things that normal human beings would normally obviously not do? Like, did they bring these about, or was
The,
Silent Hill already doomed to fail, given that these entities were already there?
it's a split answer. um, on because there's two different Silent Hills, right? There is Silent Hill 1 in the other games, and then there's Silent Hill 2. In Silent Hill 1, no, the monsters that you see in the manifestations are all from Alessa. They're all from her tortured state of reality. And they're just kind of the catalyst that activated that pain. And they're dealing with it just as much as anybody. And they're still trying to draw in the reincarnation of Cheryl back to the town to do their ritual again, because it has to work this time, right? You know what I mean? They didn't learn from their failure. So, and they're living with this nonsense every day
Right.
too, just like everybody else. That being said, on the Silent Hill 2 side, the order doesn't really have a strong effect on James in his psychotic break through Silent Hill. And it's really the deity, the devil that they're trying to rise, is always been there. Has always been there affecting the town and creating these alternate realities, this fog state, the hell state, the normal state, you know. And James doesn't interact with the order at all, but he still is tested by Silent Hill to say, you did something very, very bad. So we're going to call you back to this. We're going to call you to this location, back to a town where him and his wife used to vacation before they got all jacked up, and we're going to make you confront your truth. And it's not in a good way, you know, because most content, learn the truth, you know what I mean, the truth will set you free. But if you look at Lovecraftian horror, the deep truth, like the unknowable truth, drives you insane. It drives you mad, you know what I mean. So the town will reveal its truth to you, and are you strong enough to survive it? If not, you will die. In your and these, like the pyramid head is a manifestation of James's executioner. Silent Hill 2, real quick, the video game, one of the best games ever made. James is married to his wife Mary. Okay, married to Mary, and Mary falls ill with with a random disease, and she's getting sick. And they used to visit Silent Hill when they were healthy. The problem with Mary is that James is sitting there resenting her because as she's slowly dying, she's becoming a different person. She's getting bedridden. She's becoming angry. She's becoming frustrated because she can't handle the idea that she's going to die. And spoiler alert for Silent Hill 2, James
Thank you.
gets
I was
spoiler alert,
like, put it out there. There is a
spoiler
new
alert.
game out there,
Yeah,
so
spoiler
help the
alert for
folks
Silent Hill
out.
2. If you want to skip, spoiler alert, James kills Mary in a selfish release of his own frustration. And he's had a complete psychotic break. He believes in his mind that she died 3 years ago, and he received a letter from Silent Hill for him to go back because his wife is alive. Say,
C-
hey James,
Come to
psych,
Silent Hill.
come to Silent Hill, I'm alive. Psych, I didn't die. You didn't see that. And he's like, I gotta go find my wife. And that's what he's tricked into
The
going to
siren
Silent
song.
Hill, the siren song. And but the truth is that he killed Mary like 3 days ago. It wasn't 3 years. And he's just so enwrapped in his guilt. He is manifesting Pyramid Head. He is manifesting the nurses who are a manifestation of his lust because he couldn't be with his wife that way because she was suffering in pain. So he would kind of side eye the nurses. That's why the nurses are there. And it's all to torture him and to make him face the fact like, look, idiot, you did this.
Yeah.
You need to own up to it. And the town is going to make you do it. And the order and the ancient evil that the order has been trying to raise back up to bring it back around to that is what is almost causing these effects in the town, because it happens with characters in Silent Hill Homecoming where they're in a bus. It's prisoners in a bus that are just driving past. Bus gets into an accident, they crash in Silent Hill, wackiness ensues. And who's more tortured than people in prison? You know, people who've been through that system and what's going on in their minds. You know what I mean? So having characters to have to go through that town is like the worst possible thing ever. You know what I mean? So what are your thoughts? I know I did a lot of talking, but it's just the order plus the demons plus the location plus the haunted people is kind of what gives Silent Hill its juice. You know,
I agree.
you look like you want to say something, Toots. I can see it on your face.
I'm thinking, would the order have come about if the fires had never been started in the first place?
Oh, chicken in the egg, chicken in the egg.
Were they already there?
I think, mind you, I try boning up on my Silent Hill lore. I think they've been there since like the Pilgrimage age,
And yeah,
but I
that's
could be wrong.
my kind of understanding is that they've been there for a
A
minute.
while,
But
and the
like
fires were
to
kind of
your
like
points, Toots, about the real people that didn't want to leave,
didn't
it's
want
a
to leave.
situation that's like, no, this is where we
This is where we
are,
are.
and this is just where we stay. So yeah, whatever's going on around me, yeah, whatever, and that's even said in like the games and the movies. It's like, what
Yeah,
are y'all still doing here?
Well,
y'all, y'all,
yeah.
y'all didn't move to Kentucky or something, you know what I mean?
nah.
It's just West Virginia, just stayed here, huh? No, yep.
Country road,
Yep.
West Virginia. Not going home. You know, like if LA was hit with a damn nuke, would you just stay because you knew the 105 was going to be free?
No, no, no,
Like, hey,
no.
No.
Astro
Terrible
Burgers
place.
is still open.
Terrible place to be. No.
You know, but
Essentially, do you want to do Fallout?
no, I told you what would happen to me, dog. I would Turbo die. Dog. It would be over. I'm not a survivor, bro. I'm just gonna.
Anyway,
There are no inhalers in the.
yeah,
There are no inhalers in the apocalypse, dog. You know what I'm saying?
no, not yet.
Speaking of survivors, I like to call this is one of my favorite panels, the tourists of Silent Hill. We talked a lot about the order, where the kind of homegrown, we're gonna stick it out and we're gonna do what we have to do. And we're gonna draw all these different people to our town to get what we need to get done. And it's funny because everyone but James was affected by the order in this scene. From Silent Hill Origins to Downpour to Homecoming, even my favorite Silent Hill character, Heather. She is my favorite character. She is just so cool to me. Um, Silent Hill 3, my favorite
Yes,
soundtrack of any video game ever. I love the Silent Hill 3 soundtrack.
I actually
And
think this isn't the conversation, but I actually think Silent Hill 3 might be better than 2. But this is not the
uh,
conversation. Moving
that
on.
is a bold statement, but I'm with
Moving
it. I like Silent Hill 3 more than
on.
Silent Hill 2. I'm not gonna fight
Moving.
you.
No. All right.
Because I love Heather Mason so damn
Yeah,
much. Because
great
she's such a
character.
cool protagonist, you know what I mean? And it goes to like one cool thing about these games is that these aren't Dirk Savage commandos who are just like gunning down pyramid heads with their guns and shit. These are normal ass humans who can't fight and they have to navigate through this hellscape with fucking things skittering on the ground and weird nightmare creatures. And you can't run really good. You can't really swing shit. You might get a gun. There's some games you don't even get. There's like certain games like Shattered Memories where you can't even fight. You just run. You just got to get the fuck up out of there. And I love the idea of the vulnerable protagonist. You're not invincible. You will die. And that builds the suspense, it builds the survival horror. What are your guys' thoughts?
I will say that throughout my time with this franchise and this research, I came to really like two characters, and one is Alessa. I am an Alessa fan. I get it. She does go a little bit of back
She gets a
crap
little mad, a
haywire. You
little mad,
know what I
you
mean?
know,
And
a
like
little bit.
the offspring little girl and like how she handles the whole thing. It's like, all right, we should talk about this, right? But then there's Heather, who also is just a super cool character, who essentially is her. You know what I mean? So it's one in the same, I guess. But those are probably my favorite two characters. What I did enjoy were a lot of the side characters, even in the
Mm-hmm.
movie when you talk about the detective and the cop.
Mm-hmm.
They're just so weird. Their parts are so weird. What they're like, the one cop in Silent Hill 3 with Heather, he still doesn't know what the hell he's doing there. It's like, yeah, I was looking for you. Now I'm here. Now the game ends. I'm shot, and like you're making jokes about being the monster. What? Like,
That's a weird
so
ending. The ending of Silent Hill 3 is so stupid. I love it.
it's great. So, I love the side characters, but I think that what we mentioned it earlier, the tortured soul, you have to hear this song to go there.
Yep, it's going to
So,
call you. Um, Toots, I have something burning to say, but Toots, jump in before I don't want to overtalk. Jump in here. What are your
Only
thoughts?
thing I want to add on this one is uh, you said it already. They're just regular ass people. They're just normal human beings, which plays into the intimacy factor that these people are me and you. They have to figure it out on a whim, and if they don't, they die, and that's all there is to that. And like Brian said, like half of them are still clueless as to why they're there in the first place. All they heard was a beat to the drum that they liked, and they were lured in, and that was that. um, uh, Alyssa's probably definitely one of my favorites. That whole thing is pretty amazing, pretty nuts. But yeah, just the idea that these people are just normal people. They're not going in FBI agents. They're not going in guns ho. They're not Rocky. They're not fucking Rambo. They're just regular people who stumble upon this town. Um, whatever scenario, they just stumble upon a town, in any way that we would be able to do the same thing, and we'd probably fall into uh, um, the same existence. And it makes you wonder why.
Hmm.
It makes you wonder what exactly skeletons they have in their closet, if you want to call them that. But what darkness and what dark cloud sits over their heads that they're drawn to it as quickly and as intimately as they are. You know what I mean? So it really does. It puts a mirror to our faces to understand, like, I don't know. There's a lot of imperfection, and these characters. It kind of, again, like I said, it just kind of puts a mirror in front of you to, like, makes you feel like you're them. Makes you feel like
Yeah,
if they die, I die. I think that's brilliantly done, and all the video games, especially, it's brilliantly done. Where you need to survive this game, and that's what makes it so terrifying. Even more so than Resident Evil, even more so than BioShock. Like, this has a little bit more of a reality factor to it. You know.
yeah. I love that you mentioned that. That it's really just like any of us. I think any of us, but can go to Silent Hill and maybe see something, maybe experience something. Maybe not to the degree of a damn James, who's literally like the nice guy monster. You know what I mean? Because through the whole game, James is really sweet. He's really quiet and understanding. You think he's the good guy, but then as the game goes on, he reveals that no, he has deep seated psychosis and he's dangerous, just like everybody else in Silent Hill. And Brian, thank you for mentioning the side characters because they're so important to these stories. And I keep harking on Silent Hill too because it's such powerful storytelling. And I want to mention real two quick characters before we move on. One is Eddie from Silent Hill 2. And he is one of the three tortured in Silent Hill. It's funny because in Silent Hill 2, there are three people who are stuck there, and there's a little girl who just happens to be there, Laura. And she doesn't experience Silent Hill 2. She doesn't experience the hellscape because she's innocent. And she just happens to be there. She's not having to fight monsters or nothing. But the people who are is James, Eddie, and I think it's Maria. Not Maria. Give me one second. Her name is Angela. Angela. So it's funny is that for James, he
yeah,
sees that
Angela.
he sees the classic Rust, destructive kind of like Alessa type vibe. With Maria, who, or not Maria, with Angela, who honestly has one of the darker stories of all three. She sees fire. Whenever she's in Silent Hill, it's always on fire, like burning
It's
inferno.
always like this.
It's always like this.
Like,
Because,
damn, I'm sorry.
damn,
That's all I said. I was like, damn, I'm sorry. I was
like
like,
that part of Silent Hill
that's rough.
2, where we kind of get the revelation about Angela Toots, is Angela was um was abused by her father, both SA and physically and mentally. And to save her own life in one of those moments, she kills her father, and she goes to her. She looks for her mother for solace, but her mother is just as evil and disgusting as the father. So she had no release from that hell she lived in. Silent Hill called her because she was looking for her mom to kill her mom. So Silent Hill called her to the town to make amends with this truth because she was in denial as well. Everybody in Silent Hill is in denial. They don't want to go through with it. And when James sees her, her reaction is so intense that James starts to bleed into her Silent Hill. So it goes from rust and grossness to fire. And she just says, James, I'm come to terms. And now I guess I get to die. And she walks into the fire and she succumbs to the town. Whereas Eddie, who's actually one of my favorite characters, is a big guy. He's a big, disgusting, blobbish man who has the biggest chip on his shoulder in the world. Everybody's making fun of him. He stress eats throughout the entire game until the very end of his arc. He's always eating something. He's eating pizza. He's throwing up. He's just disgusting. But he's also very defensive. Are you looking at me? Are you laughing at me? What he did was he killed a dog and just watched it bleed. He's very psychopathic because the dog was looking at him funny. The dog was teasing him. So he shot a dog in the stomach and watched it bleed out and watched the dog eat its own guts to try to pull out the bullet. And Silent Hill called him because that dude just can't be floating around in the world. So he made him face his truth.
You're
Eddie never
perfect
faced his
down
truth.
here.
Yeah, you're perfect here. So James is trying to like heal these broken people when he can't even heal himself. And it's like these side characters paint such a crazy picture of different views of Silent Hill. And that's what made me think like Silent Hill is really based on the observer. But with Alessa, she was so damn powerful that her viewpoint warped anyone who stepped in. Her pain was that strong where it just it you were seeing her vision. Whereas with James, it was all on James. With Eddie was just Eddie because they were horrible people, but they didn't go through that pain and burn and anguish like Alessa did. Was Alessa human?
Yeah.
But how did she
Yes.
split? But do you
Yeah,
think the
no,
evil of
I
that
don't.
town
Yeah, dude,
split
this is
helped her gain a
this
sentient
is my point. Like,
reality
this is
warping
like a
ability?
galactic level threat. She's like, I've been so wronged. I'm not going to die. I now have powers.
I
like,
am
eh,
so I am so mad. I refuse to. That's some really like,
we're almost there.
bruh.
We're almost there. So anyway,
We're
Okay,
getting.
so I think the thing with Alessa is once she was there, it was a matter of possession, but she, instead of letting it possess her, she took control of the possession altogether, or belonged to her.
It
You know what I mean?
backfired.
Like I
She
think
took the power.
there's demonic issues and in her. I think there's definitely a demon in her, but she's using that demon to her advantage. She's not letting it control her. That's how I
It's
that's how I see her. That's how I saw
yeah.
her anyway, for
It's
sure.
almost like she got, like you said, she got the power, and then through her pain, just kind of. It's almost like Jean Grey in the Phoenix Force. You know what I mean? Where normally the Phoenix would just take you over, but Jean was so powerful that she wielded the Phoenix Force to her ability. And it's like this child was so pissed that it was like, nah, demon, you go back in hell, but I'm gonna take all your power though, and I'm gonna send out the
For
signal
sure.
of.
Yeah.
I'm gonna send out the signal of pain
So
forever.
essentially, Silent Hill. Silent Hill attracts those who have suffered or attracts those who have made others suffer. That's
Hmm.
essentially what Silent Hill does. That's who essentially they draw in, right?
It's a it's literally like a pulse, right? That is going off, and those who are worthy of it get sucked into it, and even those who aren't worthy of it get sucked into it. You could just be
That's so
passing
fucking
by.
terrifying.
You could just be passing. There's so many games where the pro tag was just passing by, and they got whammied with it. The dude in Silent Hill Origins was the guy who saved Alessa from the burning house where they did the ritual.
Hmm.
She didn't care. She still ran him through the ringer. If you're in this sphere of influence, you're gonna get it, and you're gonna have to figure it out. That is terrifying. Can you imagine just walking into it? It's like it almost reminded me of like, am I off base? That it reminds me of like sundown towns, where it's like you walk into the wrong city, you walk into the wrong like location, and you're just if you don't and you're oblivious, but you don't know the horror that could possibly happen to you.
Again, like I have
Am I
things
am
to
I
say, but
crazy?
it wraps up with the lore part of it. So I'm just
I could
hoping.
see it.
Brian
Yeah.
Brian is ready to get to that ranking, bro. I love it. Brian is ready.
I'm just
I,
hoping.
It reminds me of like it reminds me of places you're not supposed to be. Is what I'm saying. And either announced to you or not. And sometimes these places call you. You know how many people have gone to Chernobyl like idiots and got sick, radiation poisoning? Like, I want to go because it's fun. No, what are you doing? Now you're mad because you have radiation poisoning and you have a third eye growing out of your neck. You know what I mean? Stop. You're not supposed to go. And, certain towns have certain stigmas. There's some parts of LA that is quote unquote haunted. Queen Mary, for one. Definitely saw a ghost named Queen Mary one time. That's a true story. But
that's a
that
true
being said,
story.
that's a true story. I'm sticking with it. Speaking of ghosts, let's talk about the horrors of the hill. Let's talk about just some of the monsters that we have to deal with in this series. And we've kind of touched on them a little bit, but I want to kind of go with everyone's faves. Like, it's easy to pick Pyramid Head because he's the iconic, almost like mascot of the series. But the guy is really imposing. And if you're playing the game, he's downright terrifying. It's a very much like alien xenomorph, almost like Ghostface type effect where he's almost comical now. But seeing him in the moment then, you didn't know what you were looking at. It was just so insane. And you just didn't really know how to deal with it. What are you guys' thoughts on these horrible manifestations of these people's pain?
The burning babies are always going to be memorable.
Fuck yeah.
Um,
Jesus Christ. He just reminded
Whether
me.
in the movies and in the video games, because this the sounds that they make. And kudos to the movies that actually use a shitload of the video game sounds, which is so perfect. So I think that's what made the movies 20,000 times better. Is that you're basically watching the video game and you didn't have to push one single button, which is really cool. Um, Another one would be, what's her name? Lisa, I think her name is. That freaky one in the playable trailer. Um, she
Don't
terrified the
touch
shit
that
out of me
dial.
too. To the
Holy
point,
shit.
I don't know if I could even. I can't watch the gameplay again anymore. You know what I mean? Like I don't think that that'd be a possibility because regardless of whether I know what happens or not, it always seems to change. Even though I know it's gonna happen, it always seems to change no matter what. So it's just terrifying. You know what I mean? You have these characters following you, and um, yeah, to understand that regardless of whether you see her or not, she's there. She's behind you. She's in front of you. Either way, she's watching you. That's freaking crazy because you're still figuring out these puzzles. You're still trying to figure out who murdered who. You're still trying to find pieces of baby everywhere, and yet she's right there watching every move you make, whether you know it or
Right.
not. Like that. That's sick. It's
I love that.
disgusting.
The horrors didn't stand out to me as much, but there are two places in specific. The hospital, the asylum, was
Hmm.
just a horror show of, this would suck. Like if I were here, this
You're
would
gonna have a
not
bad
be
time.
awesome. Right. You know what I mean?
Good.
So I
Good.
I I have that feeling going through, and then Silent Hill 4 The Room.
Ooh,
Um,
good call out. Good call out.
Dude, this room absolutely kind of gave me like what
It's so claustrophobic, right? It's
claustrophobic vibes, and I'm not claustrophobic, but you're waking up like the Bill Murray. You're waking up
Groundhog Day.
Groundhog's dang it in this one room with a portal. The bad things happen, a window and a peephole, and bad things are happening everywhere. And it's like, oh, I'm here again. And then one time you wake up and the lights are all out, and it's fucking creepy. Even though you've been walking around this damn room for like 3 hours, you're like, oh shit. Like, is there something about to jump out at me? So those two places really stand out as far as just creepy instances in this game.
Call out to one of the Silent Hill monsters that actually made me very upset when I first saw it. Was not necessarily it was scary, but it upset me. You know what I mean? Like I stopped playing the game for a second. I had to put it down. It was the abstract daddy from 2. And this was if Pyramid Head is James's tormentor, the abstract daddy is Angela's. This is where you find Angela. She's playing with a knife in the dark by herself and shit.
Ah,
And this thing comes out, and it's literally a bed with legs with a sheet over it. One body under, one body above, and all you see it is undulating under the cover, almost in a sexual kind of position. And this thing is gargling and spitting shit and just bull rushing you. I'm like, what the fuck? What am I looking at? And then you just look at it, you're like, oh shit, that is Angela's manifestation of her pain. That is her pyramid head that she can't escape.
That's so
Now,
gross, man.
it's so fucking disgusting. And you have to fight this thing with a stick, bruh. And you're beating the shit out of it, and it's moaning, and both bodies are moaning in different harmonies. A high pitch moan and a low pitch moan. And it's so fucking disturbing. I hate it. I was like, is that what this is trying to tell me? I don't like it. We're done. We're done. We're done. We're done. We're done. I had to turn it off. Because the idea jacked me up. This is what Angela sees. Angela's hell was bleeding into James's because James is getting too personal with Angela. That's just sad, you know? And it's just these characters. And one thing about Silent Hill, each monster is well thought out. There is no mummy. There is no spook, haunted house. Every monster is a different manifestation of one character's pain. Even the the iconic one that walks around and spits acid, that's just constantly wheezing
yep.
and hits the cop in the movie. That
Mhm.
is that's a representation of Mary coughing all the time because she's dying of whatever crazy illness she has. And
Ah,
James hated to hear her cough. And that's what he imagined her to be, lying in that bed dying of whatever turbo tuberculosis she had or whatever. And it's like no monster is spared such a level of detail that it just gets right under your skin. I think no one does monsters better than the Silent Hill series. Hand to
For
God.
sure.
Like, I mean, better is they're horrible, but that's the point, right? Like, I can wrap my head around a zombie. I can't wrap my head around a pair of
yeah,
legs
I gotta
on
tell
top
you,
of a
there's
pair of
there's
legs.
there's some weird ass shit in these games, man. There's
Yeah.
some weird ass like
I can wrap my head around a tyrant or nemesis. I
yeah,
can't wrap my head around, what I'm saying, burning children.
seven heads,
Makes me
four
wonder
arms,
if those
bro.
burning babies were from abortions, were they miscarriages, were they
where
like
they where they
bad thoughts
failed
about kids,
experiments.
like
Where,
are that? Well, I'm just talking about when characters encounter these things, like the burning babies, for instance, like when the cop encounters, is it the cop or is it the
I think
mom?
it's
But they
Sharon.
encounter
I
the
think it's
burning
Sharon.
babies. I think it's Sharon, right?
Yeah,
Um, or Rose, I
Rose.
think her name is
I think it's
Rose.
Rose.
I
Yeah,
think
you're right.
she's the one who encounters the burning babies. But it makes you wonder, like, because if all these are manifestations of their own pain, like, did she have miscarriages? Right? I think she had miscarriages before she adopted Alyssa. I
The
think
trick.
was a story or something to that nature. I don't know, but it makes you want to go back and actually study a lot of these monsters to see maybe why the pain is manifesting the way it is,
This way,
because they do correlate.
they all
With you talking about it now, they seem to correlate. You know.
they all Toots, it's a damn ride. Just go through the monsters of Silent Hill. They each have like a 5 paragraph, 5 page breakdown of where the design came from. Hell, when you first see Pyramid Head, he's sexually attacking a pair of legs on the top of another pair of legs, and it's just shaking. And those pair of legs, once again, is James's lust that he can't sleep with his wife, so he's looking at other women, and he feels bad about it because he shouldn't be looking at other women because he should be taking care of his wife. That guilt manifested into the whatever the hell that monster is that just bum rushes you with his legs, and you gotta kick it, and then when it falls, it scurries away like a cockroach and makes little skittering noises. I don't like any of it, Doug. Why are these monsters so weird? I love them. I hate them. I love them. And here we are, ladies and germs,
Oh shit! Here
the
we
lore
are.
power ranking. So let's do it like this, shall we? I want to make this fair and even. So, what we're basing this lore power ranking on is importance to the lore, how important it is to the lore of its subject material, as well as how important it is, you would say, in the grand scheme of the multiverse. How how important is this? Would this town be to just everything? How would it affect everything? How would it stand against, let's say, an infinity gauntlet in regards to importance to the story? And we're gonna go from a 0 to a 5. No more S rankings, no more A rankings. I don't want to do that. We're gonna move on from that. From a 0 to a 5. We're all gonna give our own score. And then I'm gonna run it through an average. And whatever that number is, that's the score of the item. That sound good for everybody?
Yeah, I wish you would have told me that before. I've been justifying my answer for the last 2 weeks based
Nah.
on letters. But
Think
no,
about
we'll
this.
switch the numbers. It's cool.
No, think of it like this, Brian. S
The
tier
same number. Yeah, I got you.
is 5.
I I got you.
Okay.
I
Just
understand.
just, just want to make sure. Just want to
I
make sure.
understand.
Just want to make sure. Okay. Who wants to go first? Should I go first? You guys want to do? Oh, Brian, you can go first.
Yes,
You've been thinking
I
about
will
it.
go first. So at first, I was at like a 1,
Ooh.
simply because looking at our last lore of a hell-based item, which was able to travel and move from Hellraiser, the Lament configuration. I was looking at this town which doesn't move as a 1.
Hmm.
But there's a couple of different things that have happened in my journey here. And the first is that, like Toots started out saying, this place is real. Okay. This
Yeah.
place is real, and I can't see it with like on Google. Like it won't let me go into the town. So that ranks it up. Alyssa has galactic level power where she split off, can bring about a hellscape to whomever seems to be walking through for whatever reason she wants. The last thing I'll say in regards to a point you made 3 minutes ago in regards to how people stumble upon this town. You can be going into this town minding your own business. I had not believed that. I kind of thought Silent Hill had to pick you literally up until the last thing I watched, which was Silent Hill 2 Revelations. And at the
Hmm.
very end, the 3 cop cars go cruising into Silent Hill, and then the fog comes and settles on. Those cops
Hmm.
are just minding their business. They're just going to do a job. And Silent Hill's like, oh, nah, I got you.
We got you.
So,
Got him.
um, with it being real, with the fact that yes, you can just stumble upon this place, and let's assume there's more of these places out there, I'm moving it up to a C, a three. Pardon me, a three.
Perfect. I love it. I love your rationalization because lore is what is it? One of my favorite things about Star Trek, data and lore, right? Data
Yeah,
is the android.
I
His
was like
brother's name
lore.
is Lore.
Yeah, lore. Yeah.
Truth and fantasy are which one is which. If the more you ground something, the more real it becomes, the more tangible it becomes. And the idea that you can like the guys in Silent Hill Homecoming driving through. If you have an inkling of pain, Silent Hill is gonna pull you in. Got him, and that ramps it up to like how dangerous and how much and how the lore is so powerful.
And how
In the,
active the place actually
it
is.
never
Because
stops.
one would think it's kind of inactive. You know what I
Mm-mm.
mean? But it
Oh
is
boy,
not. Alessa is up 24/7, like, oh,
7
I'm
Eleven,
bored.
baby. You want some?
So,
You want some pyramid head sushi? We got you. 4 o'clock in the morning. Come on through. Toots. We need a number. Toots. We need a number.
All right, so I was gonna actually give it a two, because truth be told, if you watch the movies, if you play the video games, you don't necessarily need to know the stories in order to play and enjoy yourself and be entertained and remain curious and um, actually want to survive and actually want to finish the game. So on that practical level, it's not necessary. The lore isn't necessary. However, um, with it being an actual real place changes everything. My final ranking is actually going to be four, and the reason is because if what if somebody wrote a history book? What if somebody wrote a handbook? Let's say because let's remember this place is real. So let's say you just happen to stumble upon Centralia, Pennsylvania, and for some reason we do see demons and we do see all these weird manifestations that we either bring upon ourselves or the town brings upon to us. It's probably very important to understand why it's happening to you so that you can figure out how to get out of it. So yeah, I think I give it a four. I think there is an importance to understanding and to knowing uh, who, what, when, where, and how when it comes to this in order to survive. Because again, if we were to stumble upon Centralia, Pennsylvania, and we had no clue how to get out, at least there'd be a handbook in understanding how to do so. So
you
yeah, my
just
ranking's
made
four
me
or five.
like think about getting out. I hadn't considered, like, I had considered myself in this town this entire time, but I'd never considered getting out. The only thing by, I don't know, hour 15, the only thing I had completely understood was if I'm here, I have done something bad or gone through something bad. That
Yeah,
is the only takeaway. So getting
Pretty
out is
much.
kind of a terrifying fact because then you have to face that reality of whatever that was. So,
that truth.
yeah, I had not considered it until you said it, dude. And now I'm like, oh shit, you want me to get out of the room? No, my ass is there, bro.
My ass is grass, baby. My ass is grass. Getting out. I love your points, and it really makes me think about there is no measure of strength. There's no measure of intelligence. There is no measure of rational thought to help you in this situation. You could be fucking Galactus, and if you're caught in Silent Hill, you're gonna go through some shit. It doesn't care how powerful you are. It doesn't care. Superman can't punch his way out of the situation, right? And anyone can stumble upon it, regardless of ability. Of I know this isn't real. Then why did that thing cut you and you're bleeding now? Silent Hill makes it real. That's a bar, by the way. Um, and that that plus the real life town, the inspiration of this game, and the powers of Alessa being so overwhelming, and the power of that god that was orchestrating James's torment, I give it a 5. I think if you are caught
Ah,
in this town, you will face your horror. I don't care how strong you are. I don't care how many of them are you. Silent Hill's hands are rated E for everyone. You can come through with an army. You're all just going to be on the floor drooling as this town rips your soul apart. It's almost reminds me of like the Ghost Rider's penance stare. He's going to make you feel it. And it doesn't really matter if you have an Infinity Gauntlet. It doesn't matter if you have the Lament configuration. If you're a Cenobite, you go to Silent Hill, Silent Hill is going to take you. You're going to lose.
And I'm
That
not sure. Like
that's for everyone. It's
like
universal.
I don't know what the odds are on getting out of this situation. Like
People have
Silent
done it.
Hill
You have
is
to
not
face it.
a good situation. It's
It's
like, you
not.
know how many key cards and flashlights I have to find to get the hell out
And
of this
keys
place?
and shit, dog.
Like,
I have to find the rainbow key to, to
like,
solve the
dude.
puzzle. And there's a
No,
thing stabbing
man.
your ass, dog.
But
You got
yeah,
Pyramid Head
so
poking your buns, dog. At the same time,
And
you're
half the
having
keys are stuck inside of somebody's ribs and shit.
somebody's ribs. You got to dig through their ribs, dog. That's some bullshit, dog. But I'm saying if you come into this town, you're dealing with it. If you have an inkling of pain, certain people like the child, if you're innocent, it'll just be another town. But if you have an inkling of remorse, of pain, of sorrow, of guilt, or if you just happen to piss Alessa off, you're gonna feel it, and you're going to die, or you're going to come out a better person or a worse person. But you will face that pain, and I don't think a lot of people have it in them. Like, because, and I'll end it on this before I James has Silent Hill 2 has 7 different endings, and they're all canon. They're all real. There's an ending where James buckles under the pressure of Silent Hill and drowns himself in the lake. Fun fact: the body of his wife Mary is in the trunk of his car that he pulls up to at the beginning of the game. So she's in the back. She's in the back seat the whole time, and he's in such denial he doesn't realize it. So there's an ending where he just says, "F it, I'm going to be with my wife," and he drives the car and himself into a lake, and they both die. It's called the drown ending, I think, something like that. There's an ending where in Silent Hill 2, there is a version of his wife that he meets called Maria, and she's provocative, she's fun, she's kind of sexy, she's everything that he wishes his wife was, and she follows him around the town and is kind of like being a foil to him. In his mind, he's like, I wish this was my wife, but he knows in his back psyche that my wife's dead. This is not her. Who are you? It's another manifestation to torture him. And then there's an ending where he actually comes to terms with it, kills the ghost of his guilt, and him and the little girl leave Silent Hill. He survives in one of the endings. So is Silent Hill a death trap lock situation? No, you can live. Heather lived. Heather survived. She made it out. But I don't see a lot of people making it out. I don't know if I would make it out, dude. Something's gonna get me and hem me up. So I give it a 5. I think lore-wise, there's nothing more important to its lore than the town itself. We've all talked about it. This town is its own force of nature, its own personality, its own beating heart pulse that is almost inescapable to some. And with that average, we are coming to let me just, what is it? 3. We said 3, 4, 5, huh?
Yep.
That's interesting. So let's do a quick little average number. 3, 4,
It's 4.
5. It's 4.
Did you really do the math on that one?
I'm doing it now. Shut up. Hold on.
Michael, you don't need to do the math on it.
I'm doing the math, dude. I want it to be exact, bruh. 3, 4, 5. Calculate. It is what? Why are they giving me standard deviations? F it. It's a 4. And guess what? Tricked you. We're going back to letters. A 4 is an A. What?
Okay.
All right.
It gets an A.
All right. There you go.
I'm not complaining. I'm cool with that.
It
Hey.
gets An A.
It
I
deserves
really.
a name. It was very, very good. That lore is absolutely amazing.
How's everybody feeling after that walk through Silent Hill?
Good deep dive.
Very fun. Very good deep dive. It was fun to go back and research a lot of that stuff. It was fun to go back and remember why I was creeped out in the first place. So yay, thank you. That was good.
Creepy game. Creepy series. Yes.
Okay, what's everyone's final thoughts? Brian, you go first. Watch, you go first.
I do not want to go to Silent Hill in any way, shape, or
Sure,
form.
sure. Got anything you want to get off your chest? You
Nope.
know,
I tried to look at it in Google Maps. It wouldn't let me, and I'm gonna be okay with that.
that's all she wrote. Huh?
I was thinking MOTN field trip, but no, I'm good. I'm good because I may have to get out.
Brian, would you if we were both running from a ghoul and I tripped, would you come pick me up or would you just keep huffing it, dog? I need to know now.
This is
Would
zombie
you save?
apocalypse type question, bro.
Would you
Like, I
save
mean,
me though?
it's
Would you
every
save me?
man for himself in some of these circumstances.
Ah,
So
cold game.
I, that it depends on what's happening.
If a
Anyway,
if
next.
if a burning baby grabbed your leg, I would kick it off, bro. Just so you
All
know.
right, well, beautiful. I appreciate that.
That would beat it.
Aw, that's nice.
That's nice.
Nice.
Burning children.
All right.
Uh, Toots, what are your final thoughts on all of this?
Final thoughts are Silent Hill will always and forever be one of the creepiest things to ever exist, and I don't think that's going to change. Shout out Centralia, Pennsylvania.
Shout out Centralia for all those listeners. Can you imagine we just get an uptick in audience in Centralia? And it's all like the order is like, yeah, they hyped us up. Let's go.
I hope to God we do not.
I don't want
As
to
of
be on their
29,
radar.
as of 2009, nobody's there. So no thanks.
One viewer from Centralia. It's Alessa. Alessa's like, yo, MOTN, let's go. Oh, that's a this don't call me, okay? Um Final thoughts. Well, you know what's funny about the games is that their popularity shrunk in chronological order. Silent Hill 1 was the biggest game, sold the most. Silent Hill 2 was the second biggest game, sold the second most. Silent Hill 3, and so on. So, as Team Silent made the first three games, which are goaded to a lot of people, Team Silent broke apart for Silent Hill 4. And then they started making them to American game. The American developers started doing the other games, Shattered Memories, Origins, Homecoming, Downpour. And this series is almost like the smart brother of Resident Evil. You know what I mean? It's like the intellectual brother. It's the hippie brother. Where Resident Evil is all guns and survival and monsters and cool sets and stuff. Silent Hill wants you to think about it. Silent Hill wants you to feel it, slow things down. And to me, that makes it more memorable than any other horror series ever made. Even with its warts and all, I think Silent Hill 1, 2, and 3 are almost untouchable in regards to just experience, revelation, and just overall game excellence. So I'm very happy we were able to talk about Silent Hill. As I said, I was very intimidated by this lore because it's Silent Hill doesn't want to play by anyone's rules. You know what I mean? It doesn't have as we talked about, it doesn't really have a a playbook. There's no rules to it. It just kind of does what it wants across all these games. But like you said, the through line is just really pain, the promise of pain. May that be emotional pain or physical pain, you're going to feel it. With that, Wash, where can we find you?
You can find me on X at Brian J. Wash and eBay at Wash's Shop.
Go to Wash's shop. Go to Rebel Collective. Shout it
Rebels
out.
Collectibles Archive.
Yeah, go there.
Collectibles Archive, pardon me.
He sells stuff to you, and you will buy it with monies. Toots, where can we find you?
The Love Hub _ LA on Instagram and Instagram only for now. You can also find me Wednesday nights at the open mic at K Sarah in Long Beach. That is Bear City Comedy. Woo woo. That's pretty much it.
Go there and laugh. She will bring the yucks. Yuck, 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 yuck. And you can find me in St. Louis rolling on dubs, smoking on dubs. Yeah, I got nothing. You can find us on anywhere you listen to podcasts, maybe Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube. Hi, YouTube. As well as TikTok. We launched our TikTok page today
Woohoo! Yay!
with much
Yeet, because we're young now.
because we're young now. We
We're
have
on TikTok like a bunch of hello, fellow kids.
hello, fellow kids. I got my skateboard and I got my Metamucil. We're kicking ass and taking names. What's
Yep,
coming up on the channel? Exciting
TikTok.
stuff. Oh, she dabbed on us, bro. I can't. I felt the force of that dab over here, man. Made my nose drip. Just Ric Flair drip go woo on the bit. Anyway, what's coming up on the channel? MOTN Life, MOTN Life, MOTN Life, MOTN Life, and oh, Fridays, 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Mike, Wash, Toots, Unbridled Mayhem. Last week's was so much fun. I don't know about you
Yeah.
guys. I really enjoyed the last time. I just enjoy. I enjoy that our chemistry is getting a lot more tied together, and we're riffing off each other a lot more. You know what I mean? How do you guys feel about that?
Absolutely, 100%.
I agree. It's a hell of a lot of fun. I'm ready to wrap this one up.
So with that, I hate you so much, Tony. I hate you so much. And with that, we want to thank everyone for watching this episode. You want more of it? Please go to MOT. Please go to mastersofthenerdiversecast.com, where you can find all of our archived episodes. I want to thank everyone for being here today. And I'm going to end this episode with one of my favorite sayings: "Look towards the skies. Look towards the skis."
Bye, Brian. Love you.
See ya.